I was getting the nudge to, oh yeah, just film, so that you get to film that it's like really windy, you know? That was the idea. And then I was like, I didn't do anything. And then it started kind of coming up again. I'm like, okay, so I did it. And then the first time I wasn't sure if the microphone here was catching the wind sound okay. And so I started it again using this one. And then I just said, okay, Gaia, take 2. And then she started so that you could hear a lot of wind. It's like Gaia is working in teams with me to make this happen. Welcome to Channeling Jesus 28-Day Consciousness Shift. My name is Kenneth Berenson, and I don't know why I felt like starting like that. Because if you are starting here, then I would recommend that you sign up below so that you start from day one, because there's a build up here. So if you stumble upon this, please sign up to the link below, and then you can start from day one. I got shown just before I started recording. First of all, it's a lot of wind today, and the last few days actually. So I've tried to maneuver myself in the best possible way to avoid a lot of noise. Although it's interesting how it's calmed down now that I started. That is actually really interesting. You know? We'll see how it goes, but I pay attention to those things. It's like, wow, I started and it changed. The whole atmosphere changed. This is what it is like to be embodied. You have an effect. What you do has an effect on the things around you. There's a lot of movement around now, and my ego finds it tricky to accept that it's because of what we're doing. But the ego can't know this stuff. The ego doesn't understand energy. It doesn't comprehend how it can have that big of an effect. But that is actually the case. One person, only one being that truly makes this connection has a tremendous effect on the energy of everyone around, actually. It is a great privilege to host light and to really anchor light. You are very privileged to be able to have this position. Come into a dense environment like this. Even how challenging it has been for you to go through all of these tribulations that you have had to face in order to move forward. Some of you haven't wanted to see those things. Some of you haven't wanted to see that, this is my issue. I need to change here in order to solve this situation. And so there is an acceptance of responsibility of what happened. But for that, it's really important to get super clear on the energetic truth, so that you're not in stories. Because if you're in stories, you're cycling. You're not really moving anywhere. You're just going around the same frequency. And you can stay there forever. You don't have to move. Most people, in the dualistic perspective, they just keep the same status quo. And then you have some that are awake, they climb, and they hit these ceilings. because they don't know how to move past certain things. Because they don't have the proper training in how energy works and the cycle, the natural rhythms of the cycles that all the feminine, the women, the witches, they knew all of that stuff. But that got buried. Those types of, like, we have history, right? Burning witches was not a fantasy. It was something that was done. And that has an effect on the psyche of the women and men today. Everything has an effect. But knowing that, and then learning how things operate, you can start to get the totality of the truth. Because we all feel that just the logical alone is not the full truth. But just the feeling and the energy alone is not the full truth either. It's those two together that is the full truth. To use the feelings correctly, it is about the balance of how you're using it inside that gets projected outside. And first it gets projected in feelings, and then it gets created, and then it gets projected if there is separation in the individual. So it's a lot about balancing the masculine and the feminine. But it's not what you think. It's not about gender. It's not about the sexes. And yes, people have gotten that it's in the inside, but they still think that it's masculine and feminine, but just on the inside. But it's not. The feminine is actually the body and everything physical. And the intellect and all of that other realm, the higher realm, and the speaking and all of that, that's masculine. That comes from the masculine. And it's those two forces inside that we can work with. And when we do, when we balance out so that those two are in harmony inside, you are going to attract, for sure, someone that has the same on the outside. But you will know, because you will be able to read it. Because it's a completely different frequency. And when you're in a higher frequency, you can read things that are in a lower frequency. You see the truth of what actually is. When you see energy correctly, then you can see that there are different levels. And that's all what the dualistic perspective is. There is no judgment of being in a dualistic perspective. It's just that many beings want to make this shift. They want to make that switch onto the non-dualistic perspective. They don't properly know that it's called the non-dualistic perspective, that's where they're going. Maybe some do, but it's just a terminology of a frequency. But it is very specific behaviors energetically that can be measured before you know that the soul is there, that the light is shining all the way through a being. That can be read. I can read that in people. I thought that everyone could do this. And I've learned the hard way that that's not the case. And so I see people's optimal potential. That has been my greatest, this body, the greatest, it has been my greatest downfall because I didn't see it as valuable. But it also is now my biggest strength. I just didn't realize, right? Like, how do we know what our gifts are if no one tells us? You know? like spiritual gifts, if you grow up with them, it can seem like a curse because you're in the dualistic perspective. You're not, they don't get that sense. They're not operating in the same way. That's all what it is. And that was by design. You decided to come in to a denser place in order to lift up the people. You came to comprehend all of that stuff so that you can, I get it now. Thank you. So that you can just lift yourself up. You can never help someone that wants to stay in the dualistic perspective. It is a choice. And the only way that we can actually do this is to lead by example. No more of this pushing people to get us to join this subscription or that subscription, or join the church. It's like people need to get that they have options. And if you feel inspired, that's a different story, because God works in mysterious ways. But I'm talking now from the ego. Like, the ego has habitual behaviors, and it can operate from certain belief structures that are erroneous, that produces erroneous result on the outside. If you just want to force things on people, that is not harmonious. You're having something screwy inside of you energetically then. So there is a harmony and a centeredness in your own being. And then God speaks to you. Love you, Gaia. She's so supportive of this information. It has created a lot of energy in this location. And that is this information. His ego doesn't want to accept that. There's a lot of energy that happens when you start to work like this, and you start to work to anchor light. You're having a lot of effect. That's why it's a privilege. Learn how to use it wisely. Use it wisely. I wanted to say something. So, just before I started recording, I saw these, and it was very much. This is the thing. This is why I'm like, Gaia, stop the wind. When we started the recording. And then before that, though, it was a lot of wind, really. And I saw two birds, like this close in real life, but I saw them like super close, much closer than I've ever seen any bird. Well, it's similar to these flocks of birds that kind of move together, but it was only two. And they moved completely in sync, in harmony. And this was just after I made my prayer with Jesus. And I got that confirmation. And I just saw these two birds, and really, like, it was just completely in sync with one another. Oh. Can you imagine, like, the gifts and the confirmation? It's very beautiful. That is the gift that this alignment gives you. It's a very beautiful alignment. It is actually how it is supposed to be a human. we haven't fully learned how it is to live, because we came from very dense energies, and we came from these survival frequencies, and you've had to go through a lot of that. But your nervous system is still unwinding from centuries of that. Let it. But also make sure that you start to develop healthier habits one day at a time. Because that's how you truly change something. It is not advised to go completely from something and just go stop. The momentum is already as such that it's hard to just stop 100%. Some people can do it, but there is a momentum that needs to be held. And some are strong enough to hold these, but most people are not. And for most people, it's much, much more advisable to do a couple of things slowly. So instead of stopping completely, you start to do less, or you exchange something for something else. Something that is leading the body or leading you in disharmony, you're correcting it a little bit. And then you keep going. But it's important to be conscious, making the switch that you are the creator, not as a concept. There are many beings that are spreading and talking about spiritual material, and we're not talking about a concept. This is not about a spiritual concept. Many beings are creating their own spirituality inside of their ego. I've done that. I've gotten out of it. But I know the intelligence of the ego, because it is mimicking pure creation. So, of course, it's going to be intelligent. It is as intelligent as the host, right? And so, I know you want this quantum shift, but it's important that we make the ground level. We make solid foundation before we don't just jump without a parachute or nothing, right? This is the preparation for the jump, right? Some beings might be ready and they can just go. If you know, you know. You know? But if you don't know yet, then following this is a very healthy next step for you to get your footing in what all of this is about. I was so grateful to see those synchronistic birds, and that to me just confirmed to me how synced Jesus' energy is to mine. And I got that confirmation because there is a part of me that's has been a little bit insecure about that. You know? Like, I'm having this experience, but there are a lot of aspects that, but that's the thing. What do you choose to empower? What reality do you choose to empower? Because what you will see is the reality that you feed. That is how creation works. So this being is getting a lot of feedbacks for his alignment, for his work, for his dedication to clean and harmonize, to commune with us every day, to bring through and say yes to this mission, to bring through this consciousness for everyone to awaken into their true self, their light body, their Merkaba, turning the key on so that you can start to operate what your space energy field is, which is closer to a spaceship. But that is just a different perspective. But once you start to understand more about how your feelings and everything actually works, and when you know that this feeling means that, or that feeling means this, okay, so because of this, then I felt, when you start to make those connections, which will happen, you will start to land who you really are. Hear how excited Gaia is for this. She will get a lot more energy. A lot more energy. And so all of this is just, there's a lot of energy movement. And there's no accident that all of these energies are, that all of this is happening just now, because there are so many planetary influences to support exactly what's going on here. It's perfect. The energies are so ripe for you to land who you are right now. It's easier, much, much easier than when all the masters went before you to become what enlightenment is, which in today's world is sold as being something that just Superman can achieve. It is portrayed as being so far away that only the very special selected few that drops from the heaven from a star in Bethlehem, and that all of the kings came and all of that. It seems so far reaching. Oh, my birth wasn't like that. So there are these associations, these energetically unspoken associations. And those are things that are important because they affect your energy system. So it's important that we start to look at things the way energy works. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. The only thing that matters is how do we use what we have learned from the past, and we use it to move forward, knowing everything that we know, not going back and being in the past, not aligning to the past, using what we have learned from the past to move forward into the future, to actually utilize the intellect, the knower, the one that is connected to the cosmos, and the feeler, the body, the feminine, the one that is connected to Gaia in full harmony. The energy The energies are ripe for this transition. And it's not that difficult. It does take some work to make this transition into the non-dualistic perspective. It is some work. But I know many of you have already done so much work from before. So there might be just some fine-tunements for you guys. Others of you will have a bit more to figure out. But once you get it, it's like anything. It's like riding a bicycle. At first, you don't know how to ride. There's a bit of balance. You fall off a little bit. This is no different. This energy game, it's no different. It takes a bit of practice to get this right. It's not something that's done in one go. So that's why 28 day, you make a huge shift so that you move upward in frequency. You choose something that once you shift that, you have moved quite far. Those are the ones to look for. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're taking interest in changing your consciousness. It is the most important thing that you can learn as a human being in order to master this experience. Master your emotions. Letting go of other realities, changing realities, alter. You can really, when you know how this works, you can really move fast. But we're not talking about moving like this, because that is just one floor. We're talking about moving up the elevator. That is what moving into higher frequencies mean. Because then when you get up there, there's a different reality. And for that, that's why during these days, we are practicing being anew, being a different person, changing something. But do it in the area that gives you the most growth. You know that thing that you're a little bit scared of doing, but you know that on the other side of it, you will be a better person, or a bigger person, or a more excited person. That it fuels you just by, might be a little bit nervous. That's a good combination. I definitely had some of that channeling Jesus. But I feel much more calm about it now. So, the energies are ripe. This is why you came. And this is what we wanted to share. We're looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Ciao. Thank you, Gaia. And now she went. Wow. That's amazing. Do you see? Wow. She did hold the wind for us. just an add-on where I was getting the nudge to, oh yeah, just film, so that you get to film that it's like really windy, you know. That was the idea. And then I was like, I didn't do anything, and then it started kind of coming up again. I'm like, okay, so I did it. And then the first time I wasn't sure if the microphone here was catching the wind sound okay, and so I started it again using this one. And then I just said, okay, Gaia, take 2, and then she started so that you could hear a lot of wind. It's like Gaia is working in teams with me to make this happen. It's so funny. I mean, it's like it's not just that she stops it for this, but she's like, oh yeah, I can do that. You know, it's so funny. I didn't know that this was possible. This is what you actually can do. Like, I feel like I'm probably still just in kindergarten when it comes to. I've seen a video of a guy that can actually move water. Like that's the sort of thing that I know is possible. But there is training that needs to happen for that. I know I keep saying that. But I'm so grateful to have discovered this path. Oh, like this is the like all of the films that I've watched hasn't satisfied me one bit as this experience has. It's a very, very special experience. Just felt like sharing that with you, just more on a personal note. Alright, take care, for real now. Ciao.